I went to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios.
Nice.
And I remember it was like,
That's a good place.
like everyone. I was like, oh,
That's amazing.
this is different.
Yeah, it's me at gay bars.
Yeah. They're basically the same.
Basically the same thing.
If we're really thinking about it.
There have been 2 moments in my life when I was happiest. The first was the day I met Josh.
I'm Josh.
I'm Iris. And the second, the day I killed him.
What's up, dude?
Yeah, it's good to be talking with you guys. I love the film. I thought it was really witty. You both are incredible in it.
Oh, thank you.
I was talking with Drew right before here, and we stumbled upon the fact that Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls.
That song was written for the movie City of Angels, starring Meg Ryan, which is Jack Quaid's mom.
Yeah,
so there's many layers to it.
I know. I found this out today.
I had no idea until I
Yeah.
literally talked with him about that.
Yeah.
So that never came up at all during the.
No, not really. It's funny. You don't really in the script. There's never, at least with our. Occasionally there be some times where it says the song, but you don't really know until like I didn't know Labby Siffer's "Give Me Some More," which is one of my favorite songs ever. Is like the first song in the movie. It's so great. So yeah, it's so cool what you don't know while you're shooting and versus what you kind of discover once you're like, oh, you see the film.
Yeah.
What you're doing press.
Right, where you have us who are just like, looking at it like a hawk and we're just like, oh, that.
It's fun though.
Yeah.
It was fun. But I know you are a musician, and I know that.
Sophie.
Wait, are you really?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'd write these comedy songs. Anyway, sorry.
No,
she's like a real, actual, like she can like sing. She's on the soundtrack, so
Okay, fair enough. Well,
thank you.
This is actually it's an interesting question that if both being musicians or have some sort of musical background, how intrinsic is music to your process of discovering a character? Like I know, Sophie, you mentioned creating playlists before.
It's huge. He made a playlist too, and that was one of the first things we bonded over.
Really?
I think it's really important to get into the headspace of the character, but I also think I created a playlist for like the first Iris, and then there is really a different Iris that I never really created that playlist. But I think, somebody came in with a Fiona Apple shirt, and I was like, she would listen to Fiona Apple.
Yeah, the tracks. Yeah, for sure. What did that playlist that you curated look like?
A lot of 80s love ballads. I think that Josh thinks he's John Cusack in the 80s, you know? Like a lot of, I think he thinks he's a romantic.
Right.
So a lot of stuff like that. A lot of, there's some songs that the lyrics probably don't actually match up with like the character, but the general feeling I get when I listen to the song.
It's the tone.
Yeah. There was a song called like Watching. I think it might have been for like a score for something, but it's just very synthy and very, I don't know. This movie takes place. I don't know how spoilery.
Oh, you can go.
Okay,
but
fine. It clearly takes place like in the not too distant future. So it kind of I don't know where this was used, but it kind of reminds me of like kind of a Blade Runner type universe and just how dystopian it is. Because a lot of what I find really fascinating about our movie is all the stuff you're not seeing. Like we see this cabin, but like, what does the world outside really look like? Like, how messed up is it? Like,
and Iris is so timeless too.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's so interesting. But anyway, playlists really help both of us. And
no, but that's it. And then I also read that you played a big hand in like creating the look for your character, like the wardrobe aspect. Is that something that's really important for you when you're diving into character?
Absolutely. And I was able to work with Vanessa, who did the costumes, and she's fantastic.
Yeah.
I always do a Pinterest board.
Oh, okay.
Corny as it sounds, but I have such strong visuals, and I knew that she couldn't just be the girl next door. There had to be something else to her, and I'd imagine what Josh wanted. And I kind of think that Josh was like a film bro and has seen Iris in older movies, and he's like, "This is my what I think I want in a woman." Yeah, and it's very 60s. It's very classic. So it was interesting, and then she finds her own wardrobe, and it changes.
Right. I love when she finally. I love a scene where she's in the closet, finally, like picking out what she wants. It's so great.
Well, no, it's great because you also have the robot.
The robot arm,
so there's like a little bit of Terminator in there.
So
Sarah Connor. Yeah,
it's so cool. Yeah, the really eerie part where like they first meet, and you just see that weird like clothing rack being like put into his place.
Yeah, that was weird.
So weird.
Yeah,
that was weird. That was a bit strange.
it sounds like collaboration, like in the truest sense, is like a big part of you when you're taking on a character. You don't want to just be like an actor doing a job. You want to be an equal partner in it. So I guess, how did Drew bring you into that process? How did he allow you to be an equal partner on this film?
Just was so unbelievable. Like, you have to be willing to be collaborative as a director.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and some, you know, people work in different ways. I've worked with some people who are like, it's kind of my way or the highway, and you deal with it. And that's a totally valid way of working.
Absolutely.
But I love when someone is willing to have like deep conversations with you about a character. And Drew was, he also just has so much, you brought this up earlier, like empathy for actors.
Empathy, and he trusts us, and that makes us feel more confident, and you need that confidence going in, or else, you know, you're just constantly seeking validation and you're confused and you can't give your full performance.
And this movie is like, I loved it. I loved the script, but it is, especially for you, for every character, it's kind of it's a big ask, you know. And I'm happy that he appreciated that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think he's done a bit of acting himself, right?
A little bit. I think, back in the day, I forget exactly what, but I remember he said he did.
He said that?
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense because he knows how to talk to actors.
Yeah, I was
He's
gonna
so
say.
good at it.
Maybe like
and
yeah, Channel 101
and he
stuff
like
or something.
brings him aside and
yeah, he knows. He knows kind of what it takes. I remember when I went to NYU, a lot of my friends were the film. I was an acting major. A lot of my friends were film majors, and they offered an acting class for film majors so that they understood
I think it's so it's a
like.
specific dialogue.
Right.
Yeah.
When you're looking for collaborators to you know, work with on films like this, what are the key things that you're like, okay, I know how this is gonna go. I know that you're gonna be really giving. You know how to talk to actors and all stuff like that. What are those initial things that kind of go off in your
question.
head?
That's a really good question.
I just want them to be open.
Yeah.
Open to changes. Open to listening to the actor's perspective, the costume designer's perspective. Everyone's perspective matters.
Right.
So I guess openness is really important.
Yeah, I'd echo that. I think it is kind of tough when someone's not willing to collaborate. You very much feel like a prop kind of being moved around. And I just loved how much agency we all felt with our characters. And, you know, ultimately it's a discussion with the director, and I loved that part of working with Drew.
Kind of sticking on that same thing. I mean, you guys have obviously both been in separate long-running TV shows. You know, you're going into your 5th and final season.
Yeah, we're doing it right now. I am.
Oh yeah, he's like,
we are working outside in Canada.
My gosh.
It is, but it's great. It's amazing. Anyway,
Well, but I'm on that idea of collaboration. How has your role in that series evolved as a creative collaborator versus like when you were first brought onto the project versus now? You know, you're like, you know, who knows how long Yellowjackets will run? Like, hopefully it keeps going, but you're like in the middle there, and then you're kind of at the end.
Yeah. I mean, no, it's much like this movie. It feels like a very collaborative process. I'll try to distill the story really, really like a lot. One of my first days of shooting, Dan Trachtenberg directed that episode. He encouraged a lot of improvisation, which I loved, and I think I improvised something where I'm like, you know who my favorite musician is? James Taylor. I don't infiltrate. It's like the scene with me and Butcher. And then Dan was like, Eric was like, make it a list and make it James Taylor, something, Billy Joel. And then Billy Joel just stuck, and Huey's obsessed with Billy Joel. And whatever. Now we use Billy Joel music all the time.
Oh, that's great.
Billy Joel
amazing.
just posted this, like the scene where we name check him for the first time.
Holy shit! That's fucking
like posted
that's
it.
meta.
Right, and I know
like,
I'm getting older, so I can't really say this, but he posted it on Maine. Is that what when it's on the
grid?
Yeah.
Posted it
on Maine. I don't know.
Beautiful.
I just looked to the younger person. But no, that was a real big moment for me. I was like, oh my God, and it just came from collaboration with the filmmaker. So it's such a beautiful thing. Sorry, I know it's a big boys tangent, but
oh no, that's fine. I love The Boys. It's great. And
I love you, Billy Joel.
Yeah.
So great. Anyway, sorry, I continue.
Well, kind of on that same thing, what is something that maybe you wish you knew looking in hindsight back at, like, you know, on season 3 that you know now, and then maybe what's something you hope to achieve when you get to that 5th season of Yellowjackets?
I mean, I feel like I'm learning a lot about myself as I play Natalie, and I'm also scared by, you know, when a character stays with you and you've been doing it season for season. It is interesting how it kind of is a part of you and you can't really let it go. No. And it's interesting doing movies in between that. So does it get easier?
No. Does it get easier?
I don't know.
No, honestly, it probably won't.
Gets worse.
The Boys hasn't ended yet, but I know as soon as it my last day of shooting rolls around, I am going to be weeping like a baby.
Yeah.
Like, it's just going to be like saying goodbye to like a dear, dear friend.
Yeah.
But he'll always be with me.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm going to cry.
I know.
No, don't cry.
Not good. I love you. Billy Joel. Anyway.
Let's move back to just kind of like genre in general, but in terms of horror. Obviously, you guys are no stranger to genre, whether it's sci-fi, horror, whatever. That seems to be the only space where like original filmmaking is happening. And I was kind of curious to just get your take on that. Why do you think it is? Why do you think there's like a stricter rule set applied to everything else?
Ooh.
I mean, I think there's a lot of fun to be had within horror. I think we're in such a great time for horror right now. I mean, we're playing with religion and we're playing with real life themes and making it that are already the horror movies in and of itself, but heightening it. And it's fun to play in such heightened circumstances.
Yeah. I remember the first movie where I really recognized social commentary, like the first horror movie where I was like, oh, this is saying something. Not that it hadn't existed in horror movies beforehand. The first time I noticed it was It Follows.
It was so good.
God, so scary. And I growing up, I was not, I was this total scaredy cat. Like I would avoid the Snow White ride at Disneyland because it said Snow White Scary Adventures. And I'm like, why would I go in there? Right. But now I think the best stories are being told in the horror genre. And I think that, there's so many different little subgenres within horror that you can have fun with, and we're still discovering them.
Yeah.
But in terms of why is it, I don't know. It's so much. I think it's because it's a really great genre to like bring people into theaters with and have like a group mutual experience with other human beings. I think it brings us together weirdly enough because there's this fascination with stuff that's like a little freaky and a little
we're
scary.
Attracted to the darker side, but we're also just living in pretty dark times right now, so it's pretty fucking normal.
Right. It's that kind of catharsis you just get by being able to experience that darkness with a group of people. Right?
I was about to say the catharsis I think is a huge part of it.
Yes.
And I love being in things where I'm able to actually comment on the world that I live in.
It's
very cathartic as an actor.
I imagine. So is that important? I mean, obviously you just mentioned it, but is it important for you to kind of have that same sort of feeling where you feel like I'm making something that maybe isn't like being preachy or like, has a message or something, but just like is an important thing that maybe needs to be said?
Yeah. I mean, I want people to feel seen. I want women to feel seen.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. And I just want to show range. And even in Yellowjackets, it like shows female rage in such a like nuanced, interesting way. And I feel like we haven't always seen that before. So it's fun to be a part of shows like that are giving different perspectives.
Yeah. Well, that's something that I really loved about Heretic, your film. My girlfriend also came from like a traumatic religious past, so she was able to like,
many
really
people
connect
have
with that. Yeah.
You grow up with so much anxiety.
Yeah. She was her family was a hardcore Catholic, so like, it was just like she felt the same sort of like guilt.
I grew up Mormon, so it was,
Yeah, it's one of but to your point, I mean, that is one of those things where it's like people feel represented, they feel seen, and they feel like, oh, maybe it's okay that I am.
If you see yourself on screen, it makes it's validating.
Totally. Yeah, for sure. Going back to companion, I kind of want to talk about the idea of companion, and you guys are both on-screen partners or screen, companions in this film. What do you look for, I guess, in a screen partner, and how does Jack maybe give that to you, and how do you give that to him?
I look for Sophie Thatcher.
I know.
She's incredible.
It's just such a pleasure to work with.
It really was
and
a
you're
pleasure.
So fucking present and down for anything. I love someone that's down for anything.
Yeah. No, I feel the same way about you.
Willing to commit.
I think that I think we make a lot about chemistry. It's like people either have it or they don't, and I think that really all chemistry is two people who are willing to listen to each other.
Yeah.
And I think we
just
showed up.
Acting in general.
I think we just showed up and just we're like, I don't know. I'm a fan of everyone in this movie, so I think there's such a mutual respect with everybody, and Sophie, of course, is no exception. So it was just such a joy to work with you every day. It was amazing.
Likewise.
Yeah. Obviously, the film deals in this idea of artificial intelligence, and the thing that I love about it is that the robot character, the AI, is the most human character in the film.
Yeah.
And I feel like that says a lot about us, right, as people. That it's just like we already have a hard time having relationships with normal people.
Yeah.
How can we be expected to have like good relationships with technology? So I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on maybe the larger AI thing that kind of surrounds this film.
Well, I mean, I think a big message in the movie is, I mean, I don't know. I want to like double check with Drew that he. I keep saying it, but I think that I think technology is neither inherently good or bad. It's what we as humans choose to do with it that matters. And 9 times out of 10, we're gonna make the wrong choice. And definitely, my character makes all the wrong choices. And technology is also a thing that is driving us insane. It's just we're putting ourselves onto technology and having it regurgitated back to us. So when you enter a relationship with essentially technology, like it's, I don't know. And Josh is already such a selfish guy and so insecure, and he needs so much validation constantly. It's just a dangerous combo. But no, that's kind of my thoughts on it.
Agree completely.
Yeah. So we're fucked basically.
We're fucked.
That's what I'd like you to read today.
Right. Yeah. So whenever this happens, just there's no hope for us.
Yeah, of course.
Yay! The other thing that I think Drew does really well playing with in this film is perception, right? Like you obviously have the wardrobe, and you feel like this 60s inspired, very traditional woman, and then you're the nice guy, right? Like the typical nice guy person, right? So I'm kind of curious how maybe that translates into you as actors, right? Because you have a public and private persona, right? And people perceive you in a certain way. How does that affect the projects you choose to take on, or just your presence in general as celebrities?
I think I'm finally starting to be aware of being perceived. Like it's finally kind of hitting me. Of course, when you're on Instagram, it's right there in your face, but there's that disconnect always.
Right.
But now it's like kind of becoming an in-person thing, which is strange for me, and it's all very new and fresh. So I'm grappling with that.
Well, so I don't mean to cut you off. I was just gonna say, I wonder how much of that was due to like because you started to really come to prominence like during COVID, right, or stuff like that.
It is, so there's that disconnect.
I had that too because I remember The Boys.
It's so strange.
The Boys I would see on social media was popular, but then coming out of COVID, I was like, I never really got recognized a ton. And then I remember I went to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios.
Nice.
And I remember it was like huge, like everyone. I was like, oh,
that's amazing.
This is different.
It's me at gay bars.
Yeah. They're basically the same thing. If we're really thinking about it. But no, it's it's cool in the sense that I like if people respond to my work that I'm doing. Like that's really nice.
Yeah,
and
it's a positive.
Yeah. But also it makes you realize how much you value your privacy and how important that is.
And you're not your character either. I think that's an assumption that a lot of people make about me. And I relate to my character in so many ways.
Right.
And playing her for so long is tricky, but that's also a weird thing to, deal with.
Yeah, for sure. I do gotta start wrapping up here. But the last thing I'm gonna leave you with. So I asked Drew this question, but and he gave me 3 great choices. But I want to kind of pose the question to you. Films that someone should watch before going into Companion, and then films they should watch after they've seen Companion.
Oh man, I know, and I'm just gonna go blank.
Good. Yeah.
What did he say? Can you give me a couple?
One that comes to mind about like that handles like tonal shifts really well is the '60s movie it's 68, I think, Charade, which is, it's a thriller, but it's also really funny, and it definitely handles all these like tones all in one. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. Ex Machina for obvious reasons. Fargo, any Coen Brothers movie, but Fargo especially. It just takes all these like tones and puts it all together.
Fargo is really good.
Yeah, Fargo.
Because it's violent and it's mixing so many different genres in the same way.
Yeah.
Fargo's good.
Fargo's a really good example.
Yeah.
Coen Brothers kind of, I don't know, that kind of violence I think is the kind of violence that we have in this movie.
Right.
Very quick and very like, Jesus Christ, like kind of comes out of nowhere.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Movies. Oh God. Movies.
Finally watched Stepford Wives.
Oh, there you go.
Nicole Kidman,
Yeah, that's a great one.
I didn't watch it before, and it had been compared many times.
Oh, okay.
But I think that could go before or after. I think before, maybe.
Yeah.
A movie I watched before is Her. Because I think, Josh thinks he's Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah. Yes, he does, absolutely. Yes.
And I remember I was like, I watched that being like, this is exactly what he thinks he is.
That's good. That's a good.
But that movie's great. It's like way not violent version of ours. It's brilliant.
For sure.
In terms of after, I'm so sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
I know.
No, it's
Well,
totally
just
good.
cleanse your palate with something light.
Yeah, reality TV.
Reality
watch something
TV.
that makes you feel good.
I would say watch The Boys and watch Yellowjackets, but that seems like the wrong move.
Either
right?
way, we're both covered in blood and all of it. So
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, thank you guys so much for your time. You were a
Thank you.
blast.
Thanks so much for your thoughtful questions.
Yeah,
That
thank
was
you.
amazing.
Truly.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.